I'm going to go over hosting platforms, different hosting platforms, comparing them and seeing how they would work with websites built with AI, as they would require different requirements and things like that. So without further ado, let's get started. So when hosting providers allocate space on a web server for your website, they're allowing you to store your website files in order for your website to be viewed online. The website files are things like codes, images, videos, all of these things that make up your web files. By putting them on a web server, they're allowing customers to go in and visit online on your website as well. Every single website you've ever visited is hosted on some kind of server. The amount of space that that a hosting provider will allow you to serve on, it just depends on what type of hosting you're using and what provider you're using. The main types of hosting are shared hosting, dedicated hosting, VPS, and reseller. And they're all different by the kind of technologies used for the server, the level of management that they provide, and any other additional services on offer as well. There is lots of hosting providers out there that offer different kind of additional services as well. And there's also hosting providers that specialize in certain web technologies. So for example, Bluehost is a web hosting provider. And they host all kinds of websites, and they offer the shared hosting, dedicated hosting, VPS hosting, but they also specialize in WordPress hosting. WordPress is an online CMS that's free to use, and it powers almost 46% of the world's internet website. So it's a really popular platform, and if you are using WordPress as the platform for your website, then going for a hosting provider that specializes in WordPress will not only most likely to be a really good service, a really good value. You can also get good pricing as well. And it also just means that the customer service you receive will be very kind of knowledgeable and really competent as well. So one of the types of hosting I mentioned was shared hosting. Shared hosting is a really popular method of hosting, and it's especially good for people who are building out their websites for the first time. Shared hosting basically allows multiple websites to use a single server. So you don't know who or what websites you're sharing the resources of a server with. Each customer will usually have a limit on the total amount of server resources they can use, but this will be defined by your hosting package, whichever one that you want. Shared hosting is usually the cheapest and most economical option for your needs, which is why some people suggest using it when you're first starting out on what website that you have, because it's quite economical. But it's good to know that the cheaper price does come with some limitations, which we'll talk about today. But by far one of the best advantages of shared hosting is that it's one of the more affordable options. So for example, HostGator are really good for shared hosting. They offer shared hosting as part of their services. And they have an introductory offer for $275 a month. And that's sort of like a usual starting price. So the usual starting price can be anywhere from like $2 to about $10 per month. So it is a really good and affordable option. And obviously that increases with the more sort of support and the more additional services that you add on. And most companies have this kind of multiple levels of hosting available. So you can upgrade your hosting plan to something a bit more that has a bit more, for example, disk space and that has more advantages. Or if you start off on like a slightly higher plan and then later on you realize actually you don't need all the disk space, then you can always downgrade to a lower plan as well. So there's a lot of flexibility when it comes to shared hosting, and certain hosting providers offer that kind of multiple levels of hosting as well. So it makes it really manageable and makes it really flexible as well. Shared hosting also comes with a built-in cPanel. cPanel is kind of like a control panel software, and it basically provides you with an interface so that the process of hosting your website is a little bit similar. It allows you to kind of manage your web hosting, and it works as kind of like a desktop operating system as well. So a lot of hosting providers, HostGator as well, they will provide you with their own kind of cPanel that makes it easy for you to kind of manage your website on the back end as well. Another advantage of shared hosting is that there's not a lot of technical maintenance that needs to be done on your end to the server, as it's usually part of the hosting packages. So for example, again with HostGator, a lot of services that they offer is phone and chat support. So depending on which hosting plan that you opt for, sometimes you only get chat support, sometimes you get phone and chat support, and sometimes you get premium chat support as well. So what that means is if you have any issues regarding your hosting, any billing issues, any actual hosting issues, technical issues, you can submit a ticket, you can request a callback, and someone equipped and knowledgeable of hosting will get back to you and be able to provide you with a solution or even fix the problem itself, whatever it is that you're having. And that's usually included with a lot of plans themselves. So it's great. Shared hosting is a great option for people who have a small budget or are just starting getting online, because again, it's they've multiple levels of plans that you can upgrade to, and it's always there's no nothing's set in stone. If you have a plan that you're currently with and you realize you need to upgrade or downgrade for some reason, you can do that as well. You can always upgrade to another hosting package with time, and as your budget allows, you can always upgrade to a higher one as well. So you're not stuck with this kind of level of hosting forever. Another hosting provider that I mentioned earlier that also offer really good shared hosting is Bluehost. So Bluehost have been around for years, since around 1996, and it's a really large brand name when it comes to web hosting, specifically WordPress hosting. So with Bluehost, they boast a lot of good performance times, affordable prices, really good customer support and things like that. But they also offer really good plans for their shared hosting as well. So their shared hosting plan is the perfect plan to start a new website, especially if there's low traffic volume in a shared hosting environment, because obviously you'll be sharing your resources with other websites. So similar to HostGator, they have multi-level support hosting packages as well. They've got Basic, Plus, and Choice Plus. So with the Basic plan, you get sort of a single website, and it hosts one domain, and I think you also get some standard features like the cPanel for your SSL, WordPress auto updates if your site is built on WordPress. You get 10 GB website space, and all of that is for a starting price of £2.44 a month. That's with the discount that they currently have. Normally it's around £8.25 a month as well. With the Plus, that's starting at £6.16 at the moment. Normally it's around £12. You get an unlimited websites within unlimited storage space as well, or you get 20 GB website space as well. That means you can have a number of websites assigned to this one plan that you have. And you get sort of the standard features and essential features. Essential features being staging environment, domain privacy, spam protection, and free CDN. So the staging environment allows you to kind of clone your live website as it is. And on that cloned website, any new code that you want to try, any new plugin, any new design that you want to try, you can do it all in the staging environment and see how you feel about the new design, or if it's new code, see if it breaks anything on your site. But the good thing about it being on staging is that it's fully private, only you have access to it. So if anything goes wrong, nothing's happening on the front end on your actual website. It's only happening in the staging environment, and only you have access to it. So Bluehost offer that as part of their Plus plan and the shared hosting. Domain privacy is just whenever you purchase your domain through Bluehost, you can hide the domain owner information, things like your name and address, to kind of protect. So that kind of protects you from spam or any risk of identity theft or things like that. So that comes with the essential features as well. And you get the spam protection and free CDN to help boost the performance of your site. That starts around £6 a month. Again, with the promotion, normally it says around £11.56. And the next plan that you have is Choice Plus. So with Choice Plus, again, similar to Plus, you get the unlimited website, but you get way more storage space. So you get about 40 GB. And you get free domain for 1 year. That's standard with all of them. With the Choice Plus, you get one domain privacy for one domain. So you can have domain privacy for one of the domains that you buy with Bluehost. You also get automated backup. So the site server will back up your site automatically for you. And you get all the standard features, and you get the essential features as well. So you get a bit more for that. And it starts from about $15.69 a month, but right now they have an offer for $6.16 a month. So if you're just starting your website, then you can select any one of these plans. You can easily upgrade your hosting plan as your website grows. And in terms of their customer service and support, not only do Bluehost have a range of articles and videos. So if you go onto their website, and if you go onto their resource, you can see they have a huge blog and a huge knowledge base filled with thousands of articles, step-by-step guides, video tutorials as part of the knowledge base. This kind of lets you know how competent they are, but also it's a huge help for beginners, and most common issues you can probably find the answer to in one of these blogs or in one of these knowledge bases as well. Sometimes also, though, you might need to actually get in touch with a person and actually talk to someone about your issues. So Bluehost offer a 24/7 support system where you can talk to their support team using the live chat or phone support. And this is a really helpful thing when you need quick help from technical support staff and you know they're kind of one step away. A lot of their reviews, they have a lot of good reviews from people who have used their service before, and they're really rated quite highly on their customer service. So the main advantages of Bluehost being their pricing. So their hosting plans, as we've seen, they're quite they are within reach for most of your users as well. And they have multiple levels of hosting as well, hosting packages. And they're really flexible to upgrade and downgrade. So if you start off on like a higher plan and realize actually you don't need as much of the features as they offer, then you can downgrade to one of the lower plans. Or if you start off with the basic plan, you can always upgrade to a higher plan as well. But they're really good plans for people who are just getting started. They power a large number of websites with minimum downtime, so they are quite a reliable hosting provider to go for. And another thing is that there's no hidden charges. So there's no hidden fees when you're signing up for your account. Everything's kind of laid out for you, exactly what you're paying for. Another nice extra thing that they offer is the free domain. So you get a free domain name for the first year when you sign up. So if you haven't already got a domain name, you can get a 1 year free domain if you buy one of their hosting packages. The free CDN and SSL to help block malware and improve your security. They also offer a 30-day money-back guarantee, which is a really generous amount. It just means then you can try out their plans for a good month before thinking about maybe downgrading, upgrading, or maybe just moving to another hosting provider for in general. So it is a good hosting provider to go for if you are thinking about shared hosting for your website. Another popular hosting provider for shared hosting is Hostinger. Hostinger is a really popular and well-known hosting provider, particularly for WordPress websites. They offer affordable hosting, 24/7 live chat support, and a really good platform to host your website. And a bunch of other features like one-click WordPress install, manage automatic updates, enhanced security, free CDN, WordPress speed acceleration, and free site migration as well. Another popular thing about Hostinger is that they offer geolocation-specific hosting, meaning they've got different data centers that are across the world. They've got 7 data centers in total around the US, Europe, Asia, and South America. So they really do offer sort of optimized performance and great speed with all their websites as well. If you go onto Hostinger's website and click on their product pricing, you can see with their web hosting, they have 3 shared web hosting plans. So with the shared hosting plans, they come in single, premium, and business. And you can see they start off really affordable. So you can start off as cheap as the single, so about $2 a month, as much as the $4 a month for business. The main difference between all of these are the amount of websites you get. So with the single, you get 1 website associated to that plan. But with premium and business, you get 100 websites for that plan as well. The SSD storage, so that essentially how much storage space you have. And with the single, you get 50. Premium and business, you get 100 and 200. So the higher you plan, the more storage that you get. And in terms of bandwidth, both premium and business, you get unmetered bandwidth, fully unlimited. However, with single, you are limited to 100 GBs. Bandwidth really just determines how much data can go through your hosting provider. So really how fast your website can be. 100 GB, even though it is limited at single, is still quite a generous amount, especially if you don't have a lot of content on your website. It's not a particularly high traffic website. So you really can't get by on like a 100 GB website, bandwidth website. You don't get free domain if you get a single plan, but you do with the premium and business. But you do get the SSL certificates for free as well, no matter what plan you have. So you have that extra layer of security. And other things that you get are the cPanel control, 24/7 support with all the plans, DNS management. You get all of that with this, with every single plan that you have. One thing that you don't get unless you get the business plan are the daily backups, and this can be quite a bit of a risk. If your site doesn't get backed up daily, you do run the risk of losing data information if you ever need to roll back to a previous version of the site. So you do get the daily backups with the business plan. However, with the single and the premium, you don't. If you ever come across hosting plan that don't offer daily backups, the way to get around that would be to install a plugin called Updraft, which is free, and then manually do your own daily backups every single day. It's a bit more work. However, it is quite important. If anything does go on your website, at least you have a very recent version of the website that you can go back to, as opposed to having to lose copious amounts of work. So that would be one of the bigger cons, I think. But they are one of the lowest priced hosting in the market. Their performance is optimized. They have really good customer support, and they have a lot of features as well that come for free, like the 24/7 customer support, DNS management, email accounts as well. Hostingers support and customer service. They do provide 24/7 customer support via live chat. They currently don't offer phone support, but their technical support team is very well trained and they are available to help when they're needed. They do offer support in English to global customers, but if you purchased your hosting using one of their local websites, then you have the option to get customer support in that local language as well. A lot of reviews on Hostinger find that their customer support team is very responsive and almost immediate with their response time as well. So there's a lot of good reviews reporting sort of good customer experience when interacting with the support team. And similar to Bluehost, Hostinger does have their own knowledge base library as well. You can see if you scroll down to the footer, they've got blogs, they've also got tutorials, knowledge base as well. And they all contain sort of step-by-step tutorials to kind of answer your common questions as well. So if you are having trouble with something, chances are if it's something small, you can find an answer or a solution by yourself using their knowledge base and using their kind of step-by-step guides as well. So overall, some of the better pros of choosing hosting or shared hosting plans is that they're lower price plans. They offer very low cost hosting plans for users who may just want to test out an idea. They rank really highly in terms of performance, especially for the price point that they're offering, and they have really good customer support, which is a huge help for beginners. Some of the cons would just be that there are no daily backups. But again, you can get around that if you were to use the Updraft plugin, which is a free plugin to use, and just create your own manual backups. In order to kind of keep their low cost hosting viable, they do limit an entry on their low level hosting plans. So they do have some limitations. But as your website grows, you can always upgrade to a cloud or a VPS plan to get rid of those kind of limitations. But they do offer a lot of different kind of web hosting and different web hosting plans as well. If you ever need to go in and check what their plans are, just simply go onto their website and go into hosting and just have a look through of what they're offering or what they plan to offer as well. So those are some of the advantages and examples of shared hosting. There are some disadvantages to shared hosting though. Even though it is affordable and they have a solid uptime and it's easy to manage, certain drawbacks can be that the load time can be a little bit slower than dedicated servers. So servers can become overabundant by other sites because again, you are sharing the website space with other websites. So if other websites are taking up more of the space, then it can overburden the server, and then that can affect the load times on your website as well. As your site begins to receive like higher levels of traffic, you'll begin to notice that your site might not be performing as well, and that's because there's just not enough resources allocated to your site in order to keep up with the high levels of traffic or the more content that's being loaded in. It's also not, in terms of their plan, they're quite limited. So there's a lack of customization options to truly get the highest level of performance for your website. Because again, you are sharing the server with a bunch of other websites as well. However, if you're unsure as to whether or not you should use shared hosting or not, the people that tend to use shared hosting are for people that are just started getting online, they're growing their business, because it is low cost and affordable, and it's not likely you'll have a lot of high traffic in the beginning. It's a great option to have if you're just starting out and you're wanting to obviously host your site. It's important to note that a responsible web host will let you know when your traffic hits at a certain level that it's time to upgrade, and will monitor and shut down any sites that will pose a risk to others on the server. So you want to make sure you pick a reputable and reliable shared hosting provider that will kind of make you aware of that. In terms of alternatives to shared hosting, there's not any specific alternatives, but there are upgrades. They might not be as affordable as shared hosting, but you would need to kind of update because if you are hitting more traffic, and if you are hitting more traffic, then hopefully you'll be able to kind of cover the cost of the more upgraded hosting plan. One of those options is VPS hosting. So VPS stands for Virtual Private Server Hosting. Virtual Private Server Hosting plans offer virtual machines to clients. So it's similar to shared hosting, where one server computer can have multiple sites running on it. But virtualization technology allows each account to be treated like its own machine, and they have their own dedicated resources and their own operating system. So as mentioned previously, so in shared hosting environment, all websites that are on the server, they're sharing the resources that are on the server. And most shared hosting providers will have code that will kind of limit the resources that each website can have. So no one's using up too much. No one is losing any resources that they're allocated. But sometimes those websites aren't guaranteed the resources, and that can fluctuate from time to time depending on how many clients are using the resources at the same time. But VPS hosting plans guarantee that the resources available to the client are there for them by using their technology. This means that you have a much more stable hosting environment with very little kind of fluctuation that you would get in shared hosting. In terms of hosting providers, one of the good hosting providers would be HostGator. So HostGator, we mentioned before, they offer shared hosting, but they also offer VPS hosting for more control and extra flexibility. So you can see with their plans, they've got up to 3. They've got multi-level plans as well. They've got the 2,000, 4,000, and 8,000. So you can see with the plans, the main difference is the amount of storage that you get. So with the most basic plan, you get 120 GB, but you can go all the way up to 240 GB. 2 GB RAM, 4 GB RAM, and 8 GB RAM. So like how much space that you actually have, and the CPU type as well. If you go for the most expensive plan, you get the 4-core CPU, but while the other two offer sort of 2-core CPU. CPU usage just shows how much CPU time was consumed by each process that's within your plan. So if you have like 100 processes running, then the CPU should split its time between all of these processes within a period of time. So the more higher thevalue that is, the faster your site would perform. As you can see with the pricing, their starting plans is still a lot more expensive than the shared hosting plan. So with HostGator specifically, it starts as low as $24 a month and as high as $60 a month. You can see if you go to compare plans exactly what you're getting. You can see you get the dedicated IP as well. The main difference is just how much CPU, RAM, and disk space you may need. If you're not sure, you can always contact the customer support members. So a good hosting provider will allow you to chat to them, request a call back, request an email, and they'll be able to provide you with the options. So you'll tell them exactly what your issues are, what you're having, what your site specs are, and they'll be able to provide you with the best plan that would kind of suit your needs as well. You can see they've got a whole bunch of different features as well for security, network support, email, things like that. So with the most basic plan, the Snappy 2000, they start off with at the $23.95 a month. If you need more storage than a web hosting plan, then this plan would be better for you. And then you've got the Snappy 4000. which comes with the 4 GB RAM, 2 cores of CPU, and 165 disk space. It also comes with the unmetered bandwidth, and they have 2 dedicated IPs. And this is the plan that they kind of recommend, especially for people who want to try VPS hosting, because it gives you enough storage to build a performance-ly optimized website, but it also leaves some room for you to scale up if you need to. Hence why they have the we recommend section over here. And that starts at $34.95 a month. Again, a lot more expensive than what you would be used to for shared hosting, but you are getting a lot more features out of it. Next thing you have then is the Snappy 8000 VPS hosting plan. And that comes with 8 GB RAM, 4-core CPU, and 240 GB SSD. And the unmetered bandwidth as well. That comes with Snappy 4000, and you get the 2 dedicated IPs. So this is perfect for someone who wants to host multiple websites. If you're seeing huge surges of traffic and you plan to sort of accept payments as well, because you need to make sure that, for example, if you have an e-commerce website, that the server that you've selected has enough resources to accommodate for the process that's going to be happening. Because if e-commerce websites compared to basic brochure build websites, there's a lot more process happening in terms of people creating user accounts, people adding things to their cart, people buying things, accepting payments, creating orders. There's a lot of processing that's happening in the background, and multiply that even more if it's a high traffic website. So while this is a lot more money, if you are experiencing a lot of traffic and you have a lot of functionality on your website now, then you would need to make sure that the plan that you're selecting gives you enough resources to accommodate for that. They also have some add-on services like domain privacy, SSL certificate, and free domains as well. That kind of help with the costing and add more value to your hosting provider as well, and to your hosting plan. Another popular hosting provider for VPS hosting is InMotion Hosting. So they have quite a lot of good reviews in terms of previous clients who have used them. They're very positive, and they have a lot more flexibility when it comes to their plans in terms of the billing cycle and also how many plans that they have compared to HostGator that we've seen earlier. So you can see on the website, they have their hosting plans here, and they've got a range of 4 different plans. They also have a number of different billing cycles that you can use. So you can have a billing cycle as short as 1 month or as long as 3 years. But you'll notice the longer your billing cycle is, the more affordable the plan can be. So for example, for 1 month, the VPS 4 GB RAM is $80 a month. But if you were to buy it at 3 years, then you get it at $20 a month. So that's quite a big difference. And you can see how much you're saving up here as well. So that's one thing that you want to consider when you're purchasing a hosting provider, is that when you're purchasing a plan from a hosting provider, is their billing cycles and how that fits in with your budget. But you can see compared to HostGator, they have a lot more levels of packages with their plans. So their packages in terms of their CPU cores start off from 2, but you can also get as much as 8, whereas HostGator starts off at 2, and the most you can get is 4. 4 GB RAM, you can go all the way up to 16 GB RAM. Again, a lot more than what HostGator is offering. And in terms of SSD, you get a generous amount on their basic plan at 90 GB. HostGator was a little bit less, and the maximum you can get is about 360 GB. Again, a really generous amount. Even with the bandwidth, so even on the most basic plan, you get the 2 terabytes a month, but while the rest of their plans have the unlimited bandwidth. And the dedicated IPs as well. But again, with the most expensive plan, you get 10 dedicated IPs and the cPanel licenses as well. So you can see even their most expensive plan, starting off as $60 a month, which is their most expensive plan. If you buy it for the 3 years, is a lot cheaper than it's still cheaper than the HostGator's most expensive plan, and you get a lot more out of it. But again, what you want to consider whenever you are picking your plan is to see where your site is now. So how much traffic you have is the most important thing, and how much can you scale up. So even the most basic plan gives you a lot of opportunity to scale up. The best value is this 8 GB plan, because not only do we have plenty of resources for a high traffic, high performance site, there is room to scale up with that as well. Same with the GB, with the most expensive one, you have so many value here. again, it's important to maybe get in contact with a sales expert. So you can see with InMotion Hosting, they have their chat box here to talk to a sales expert. Talk to them about your site, what issues you're currently having, if you are having issues, your site traffic, and go by what they're recommending. A good hosting provider will be able to tell you exactly what you would need and be able to equip you with that as well. Upgrading and downgrading your VPS hosting plan is very simple. If you've outgrown your hosting plan or if you're underutilizing your current plan, you can upgrade or downgrade to match your current hosting needs. They have lots of plans to suit any kind of business need and budget. They also focus on WordPress hosting as well. So InMotion themselves are a really well-known industry brand. They're reliable. They have good performance. They have award-winning technology as well. They have a lot of plans that kind of suit any kind of billing cycle that you need as well. They have great scalability because of different levels of billing cycle that they have and different support hosting packages that they have. It's really good to scale up and down your business. And they have sort of easy staging tools and a lot of other options as well. InMotion is that they offer a 90-day money-back guarantee, which is an extremely generous amount. HostGator, if you remember, was only about 30. I don't think so. Domains aren't including in that guarantee. So once they're registered, they are yours to keep, or you can use them with other hosts. They do offer the free website transfer and server setup. So that's completely hassle-free transfer if you ever needed that. And they have the free SSL certificates and they have the SSD storage drive. So SSD storage drives are way faster than older drives, which makes your website load even faster. Most web hosts don't offer SSD storage and some charge a lot for that. But again, as mentioned before, some of the cons is that they're not the cheapest. So they are priced competitively, but they're not the cheapest in the market. So definitely you want to make sure you have all your questions answered. You've talked to an expert before you finally make a decision and purchase one of their plans. Just one of those things to consider. Another option for hosting providers that provide VPS hosting is Liquid Web. So Liquid Web has been around for a really long time, started in 1997, and it's become a really well-known platform to use or hosting provider to use for managed VPS hosting, cloud hosting, and even other things like dedicated server hosting as well. They are known for their fast and high-quality support, and they call it heroic support. And all of their hosting servers are optimized for speed, of performance, and security. And they kind of boast sort of hassle-free hosting solutions. So it's a really good platform to use, especially if you're not so much technically minded and you're wanting to leave anything technical for your website and that hosting website in the hands of your hosting provider. A lot of top companies like Motorola, Red Bull, ESPN, they all use hosting Liquid Web as their hosting provider. So some general pros, they have super fast servers. They have a great line of customer support that are really knowledgeable and well equipped to handle sort of the technical issues that you might be facing. If you are planning to build a WordPress website, they offer one-click WordPress install. They have easy staging tools, and they also have integrated firewall and security. So you have that extra level of security as well onto your website. Some of the cons about Liquid Web is that there is no free domain with any of their plans. So you'll see, you would have seen in the previous plans that we've just talked about with HostGator, InMotion, some, if not all of their plans will include a free domain, which can be really handy if you don't have your own domain. None of the Liquid Web plans come with that. So if that is a feature that you were looking for, this might put you off or might not be one for you. And the other option that the other con that this hosting provider might have is that they don't offer a money-back guarantee, which is quite a bit of a risk, considering that they do have quite a little bit of high pricing. So you would have seen in like HostGator, InMotion, even other hosting providers like Bluehost, Hostinger, they all offer some kind of money-back guarantee. At the very minimum, they would offer a 30-day guarantee. Sometimes they can go as high as 90 days or 60 days. But Liquid Web don't offer any days of money-back guarantee at all. So it's really, really important that if you are deciding to use pick a package from their hosting platform, that you speak with one of their advisors. You really look into what your hosting needs are, get some advice on what your hosting needs are and what they might be, and pick the correct kind of package for you. because it is a little bit costly. So their support and customer service, however, is really good. They promise sort of 24/7 customer support, and they have a really highly trained staff as well. And it's available via live chat, phone, and support tickets. They guarantee their response time to your support inquiries. So phone calls and live chat inquiries are answered in under a minute. Support tickets are answered within 30 minutes. So staff members are really trained to take ownership of your issues, so your ticket will get passed around a lot before being resolved. They have a lot of amazing customer reviews. If you go into their YF and see sort of, their industry support here as well, you can see that they have a lot of good reviews, even like on their website as well. Across their website, they've got lots of customer testimonials by previous customers who have used their hosting provider, that they are a really good customer support service. They also have a 100% uptime guarantee. So they often mention the hosting company's outstanding uptime. So unlike other companies, Liquid Web actually promise 100% uptime. And if they don't live up to that promise, you can receive a credit of 10 times the amount of time you were down. So you're taking it very seriously. Their up performance as well. For dedicated server customers, they offer a 30-minute hardware replacement guarantee as well. That means that with any faulty hardware that are happening within the server, they are guaranteed to replace it within 30 minutes of identifying the problem. So that's a really good promise to have, especially that if there is any chance of a downtime, you are sort of properly compensated for it. So yeah, they have really fast hosting. All of their hosting plans are optimized for quick page loads. And a lot of customer reviews do mention how fast their hosting is. They don't have the plugin limits. So some web hosting providers like WP Engine, they do put limits on what plugins that you can use. Liquid Web doesn't have any, and you can use any WordPress plugins that you want on your site. They have that guaranteed uptime. So earlier that we talked about, they have that 100% uptime, and they will offer you then 1,000% credit for any downtime that they have. And the customer support is one of the best. One of the cons of Liquid Web is that they don't have the money back guarantee, as we mentioned earlier. But you're not under any contract, and you can cancel your service at any time. So if you prepaid, you can still get a refund for any full month of service that you don't use. You just have to give them a notice before the month question begins. So you do get some money out of it, but you can't almost test out the hosting plan before fully committing to it is the only thing. So it is really important that you talk to their advisors and get a good understanding of what you need and what they can offer. And you can tell also just by their pricing, they have a little bit, their costs are a little bit higher than some hosting providers, but you do get what you pay for in terms of quality and support. So with VPS hosting, all kinds of VPS hosting, you get that sort of enhanced control, root access, added security, but you don't have to pay the full price of like a dedicated server. If you know you've outgrown your shared hosting, so how you would know that you've outgrown your shared hosting is, for example, if you've seen traffic surges. If your website started out with little traffic, but suddenly you get more, you've noticed as there's spiking traffic through your Google Analytics, you might start to consider VPS hosting to support that. If you know your website is about to grow quickly, so if you know your website is about to get traffic, you don't want to risk you don't want to run the risk of any downtime. You can upgrade to a VPS preemptively. Shared hosting is kind of limited when it comes to which software is allowed. So, because again, you are uploading software to a server that is shared with other websites. So if you ever want to install your own software, then shared hosting will be ever for you, and you might want to move on to something else like VPS hosting. So those are just some scenarios where you might consider VPS hosting over shared hosting. Another option of hosting, as opposed to VPS or shared hosting, is cloud hosting. So cloud hosting doesn't take place on physical server. Instead, it happens over sort of multiple connected servers that link together to make up essentially the cloud. That means the website that uses cloud hosting is never dependent on just one server. By linking up several servers, cloud hosting then has more power and more storage space. If something were to happen to one server, or if that one server needed repairs, the website, the rest of the network kind of pick up the slack, so your website kind of remains unaffected. So if you've used sort of cloud technology before, things like Dropbox or Google Drive, the rest of the concept of cloud hosting is very familiar. So cloud hosting usually costs more than shared hosting, not by a whole lot, but it also makes it easier for your website to scale as needed, and they tend to support faster load times even when your website gets a lot of visitors. So some of the pros of cloud hosting is that it lets you access the features that you need when you need them by using resources from multiple servers, again, without the high cost of a dedicated server. It's like being able to use the advantages that comes with shared hosting, but you don't have that much cost issues as you would if you were to get a dedicated server. But some of the cons of cloud hosting is that if you prefer to do your own backend kind of work, if you're a very technical minded person and you want to have access to, for example, like cPanel, all the root access, everything like that, then cloud hosting might not be for you because you don't get the root access for customization. It is more expensive than shared hosting, so it may not be the best choice for a new website if you're on a tight budget. It's good for new site owners and small businesses who want to ensure that they have really fast load times and handle traffic peaks during like sales season without a lot of technical work on their part. So some popular cloud hosting websites is, for example, HostGator. So we've talked about HostGator before. So they do the managed hosting. They also do VPS hosting, but they also do cloud hosting. So that you get the more speed, less downtime, and a lot of support as well. So all of their plans, they do get the free domain. So you have that offer. The rest of them, they have slightly more affordable pricing as well. So you can see the introductory offer starts at $5 a month, which is a little bit more expensive than what we've seen in shared hosting, but not by much. And the most expensive plan goes for $10 a month. Again, a little bit more expensive than shared hosting, but not by much. With both of these plans, the Baby Cloud and the Business Cloud, you get unlimited domains. But with the Hatchling Cloud, you just get the one domain. Again, so whichever, if you have more than one website, then you know that the first plan kind of won't be enough for you. You will need one of the other two plans. But then the other differences between them is the memory size and the CPU size as well. So depending on how much content you would have on your website, how much functionality you have on your website, maybe the Baby Cloud will be enough. But then you can also upgrade to Business Cloud as well if you feel like you need to. If you click on compare all plans, you can see a bit more space as well to see what they actually offer. Things like local caching, free SSL, and free domain is available with all of their plans, including they also have the 30-day money-back guarantee. So that's really good if you just want to test out, even if it's your first time testing out cloud hosting. The money-back guarantee allows you to kind of test it out for a good month before you make your final decision. And you can always get a full refund at the end of it if you realize you actually don't need it. You do have the option for free emails as well, and free MySQL transfer and script transfer as well. You get the bandwidth and disk space as unmetered, so you can have sort of reliable web hosting and things like that. The rest of the other popular platform for cloud hosting is Hostinger. So we talked about Hostinger earlier when we were looking at shared hosting. So they also offer different plans for their cloud websites, the cloud hosting. So they have Cloud Startup all the way to Cloud Enterprise. And you'll notice with all of these, you get 3 months free. So you're saving up to 60% or saving up to 54%. So there's a lot more value, especially when you sign up for the first time. You're getting a lot of features for what you're getting. So for all of these plans, you get the free email, unlimited bandwidth, unlimited databases. You also get 300 websites that you can assign to each cloud server. The rest of it, and in terms of performance, that's also where you're a little bit different. So you get The rest of it is between the RAM. So the memory you get between all of them is different. So you get 3 GB RAM for each website, 6 GB RAM and 12 GB RAM for each of the server that you're getting. And then also you get the CPU cores a little bit different as well. So depending on the amount of traffic you're going to have, the amount of performance needs that you're going to have, this is going to differ in terms of how that's going to, and how much resources you're going to need allocated. That's the main difference between all of them. On top of that, you get the SSD storage, but even with the most basic plan, you get 200 SSD storage, which is a very generous amount. But you can go all the way up to 300 GB as well. Apart from that, everything else is similar across all plans. You get the unlimited SSL, you get protected name servers, and you get the daily backups, which is also really important across all of your hosting plans. You also get the free migration if you ever need to migrate from one platform or another. This makes that process really hassle-free and really easy for you to use. If you are using a WordPress platform, then they also have specific WordPress options as well. Things like the staging tool, acceleration, and manage WordPress to make sure that your backend experience of WordPress is as hassle-free as possible. In terms of service and support, all of their plans come with a 30-day money-back guarantee. And so you can test out one of the plans in full before, like a full month before finally upgrading or downgrading, or even just moving to a different hosting provider in general. Hosting have different multiple data centers. So as we talked about, they have about 7 across the US, Europe, Asia, and South America. And that applies to all of their cloud hosting plans as well. In terms of their payment terms, they're billed sort of per month. So there's not a lot of flexibility in terms of billing cycles. But you do get a lot of offers with that as well. To see all their features, you can just click on see all features. You can see everything else that you get with that as well. But again, the main differences between all of them is the storage and the actual performance space as well. Everything else you get free. So it's a really good value for money, I think, for all of their cloud hosting. And again, Hostinger's support. Hostinger, so customer service, so they provide the 24/7 customer support via live chat. As mentioned before, they don't offer the phone support, but their technical support team is really well trained and available to help whenever it's needed. Their customer support team offers a lot of support in English, but again, if you bought the hosting via one of their local websites, you have the option to get customer support in that local language as well. So that's just one of the advantages of Hostinger. So they do have a lot of that as well. The rest of the popular hosting platforms for cloud hosting. The rest of them, in terms of when you should think about sort of upgrading to a cloud host, you want to upgrade whenever your website or your app runs reliably, no matter when or where it's being accessed. If you're looking for fast performance, scalability, and better security, then it's probably time to make that switch. Most sites will start out with traditional sharing host, and then they'll make the switch to kind of cloud hosting afterwards to truly kind of scale your site and take it to the next level. So you always want to keep an eye out for any surges in traffic. If you are aware of any traffic that's going to be hit, then any traffic that's going to surge, then something to make your hosting provider aware of. But again, a good hosting provider will let you know if you're about to exceed your allocated resources, if you are on shared hosting, and be able to provide you with options, whether that's moving you to a different server, upgrading you to a different plan, or even moving you to a different hosting type, whether that's cloud hosting or even VPS hosting or dedicated or to a dedicated server. If you enjoyed, if you did, leave us a like and comment below which hosting provider you think would work best for your website. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next one.